In every world, there are colossal beings that shaped the very fabric of existence. Some are called giants, some are titans, and others are gods. Yet, they all share one common trait: their immense size that far surpasses all others. Are you familiar with each of these beings? The Rock, a towering marvel of Middle Eastern folklore, looms as one of mythology's most awe-inspiring creatures. Standing an imposing 20 feet tall, its wings, said to span 80 to 120 feet, could blot out the sun when outstretched, casting entire landscapes into shadow. Weighing a staggering 8,000 pounds, the Rock's sheer bulk and power were legendary, marking it as a creature of extraordinary might. Its colossal eggs, with circumferences exceeding 150 feet, were considered treasures in their own right, massive enough to serve as shelters for humans or even as a fortress for adventurous wanderers in tales. In the myths, the Rock's most dramatic feats stem from its unparalleled strength and predatory prowess. The bird was said to seize elephants in its formidable talons, lifting these titans of the animal kingdom effortlessly into the sky. Once aloft, the Rock would drop its massive prey onto rocky cliffs, using the force of the impact to shatter bones and reduce the carcass to manageable portions. Such demonstrations of power solidified the Rock as a symbol of dominance over even the mightiest creatures. Its feathers, as large as palm leaves, were reputedly strong enough to serve as shields or sails when harvested by daring humans. The Rock's preferred plumage was described as pure white, though variations of dark brown, golden, black, and red appear in some versions of its tail, adding a layer of mystery and diversity to its mythical identity. The Rock's influence transcended nature, becoming a cultural icon in the Middle Eastern tales of 1001 Nights and the adventures of Sinbad the Sailor. The bird symbolized ambition, freedom, and untamed power, inspiring not just fear but also awe in those who heard its stories. The Rock's enduring image bridges the realms of myth and reality, cementing its place as one of the most unforgettable creatures of folklore. In Greek mythology, the Cetus was a sea monster of immense proportions, often described as a hybrid of various terrifying creatures. Its size alone evoked awe and dread, with accounts suggesting that its skull spanned a staggering 40 feet, 12 meters, in length. Its spines were as thick as a cubit, and its skeleton stood taller at the shoulder than an elephant. Its serpentine body coiled through the waves like an enormous sea serpent, covered in shimmering scales that glinted like armor under the sun. The Cetus was said to possess enormous, gaping jaws capable of swallowing ships whole, and its 4 feet, resembling those of a land animal, added an unsettling touch to its aquatic dominance. The Cetus is most famously tied to the myth of Perseus and Andromeda, where its terrifying presence became a symbol of divine wrath and human vulnerability. Sent by Poseidon to ravage the kingdom of Ethiopia, the Cetus was a punishment for Queen Cassiopeia's hubris in claiming that her daughter was more beautiful than the Nereides. The creature's size and ferocity made it an unstoppable force, devastating coastal cities and demanding the ultimate sacrifice. Andromeda, the queen's daughter. Despite its fearsome reputation, the Cetus met its match when Perseus, armed with the severed head of Medusa, turned the beast to stone with the Gorgon's petrifying gaze. This climactic battle showcased the monster's vulnerability in the face of divine intervention and heroic ingenuity. Interestingly, the Cetus left a legacy that extended far beyond mythology. Its name, derived from the Greek word ketos, meaning large sea creature, became the root for the term cetacean, encompassing whales, dolphins, and porpoises. The Cetus also ascended to the heavens, immortalized as the 4th largest constellation visible in both hemispheres, symbolizing its vastness and mythological significance. Whether as a harbinger of doom or a celestial marker, the Cetus remains one of mythology's most enduring and awe-inspiring sea monsters. In the vast tapestry of Greek mythology, few entities could rival the sheer size and power of Charybdis, the monstrous whirlpool that terrorized sailors. Descriptions of Charybdis emphasize her immense scale. She was not merely a beast but a living force of nature. Residing beneath a fig tree near the narrow strait separating Italy and Sicily, Charybdis was capable of swallowing vast quantities of seawater, creating a vortex so massive that it could engulf entire ships. This cyclical act of swallowing and spewing out the ocean 3 times a day made her a perilous obstacle for mariners, her size and ferocity manifesting in the deadly turbulence that defined her existence. Charybdis's monstrous form reflected her aquatic domain. Accounts often described her as having a cavernous, gaping maw that served as the epicenter of the whirlpool. Her flippers, which replaced conventional limbs, added to her terrifying marine presence, suggesting an otherworldly fusion of beast and oceanic force. Unlike the more anthropomorphic monsters of myth, Charybdis's form was inseparable from her function as a catastrophic whirlpool, emphasizing her role as a primal, destructive force of nature. Her size was so formidable that her inhalations and expulsions reshaped the sea itself, embodying a constant reminder of the ocean's power and unpredictability. The mythology surrounding Charybdis paints her as a tragic and fearsome figure. Once the daughter of the primordial sea god Pontus and the earth goddess Gaia, Charybdis was cursed by Zeus for overstepping her bounds, enlarging her father's domain by consuming vast tracts of land. In his wrath, Zeus transformed her into the monstrous whirlpool, chaining her to the strait where she would eternally menace sailors. Positioned opposite Scylla, another formidable sea monster, Charybdis was a cornerstone of nautical myth. Navigating between her and Scylla was a perilous trial, immortalized in the phrase "between Scylla and Charybdis," symbolizing the choice between 2 equally dangerous paths. Her immense size and power made her a living embodiment of the treacherous sea, a force that tested the courage and skill of heroes and sailors alike. In Norse mythology, the Kraken was a sea monster of unparalleled magnitude and terror, its size and might evoking awe and dread among seafarers. Accounts describe the creature as stretching for miles when fully extended, with some tales claiming its body alone was over 1.5 miles wide. Its immense limbs, likened to ship masts, could span vast distances, enveloping entire vessels with ease. When the Kraken surfaced, its bulk was so massive it could be mistaken for an island, and its many heads and claws added to its nightmarish visage. These physical dimensions made the Kraken one of the most colossal beings in mythology, a living force of nature whose presence could blot out the horizon. The Kraken's abilities were as terrifying as its size. Sailors feared its capacity to destroy entire fleets, either by using its colossal arms to drag ships beneath the waves, or by creating whirlpools so powerful they could suck even the largest vessels into the abyss. The sheer force of these currents, generated by the Kraken's movements, could reshape the sea itself, leaving devastation in its wake. Living in the cold, deep waters around Norway, Greenland, and Iceland, the Kraken was not just a predator but a symbol of the ocean's unyielding and chaotic power. The mythology emphasized its dominion over its domain, making it the undisputed ruler of the seas in Norse lore. Historical mentions of the Kraken, such as those recorded by King Sverre of Norway in 1180, reflect the enduring fascination and fear this creature inspired. While its name may derive from the German word for dragon, some speculate that sightings of giant squids, real-life deep-sea creatures that can grow up to 43 feet, 13 meters, fueled these myths. However, the Kraken in mythology dwarfed even the largest squid, embodying the boundless and enigmatic power of the ocean. Its legendary status cemented it as one of the most iconic sea monsters in human imagination, bridging the gap between the known and the unknown, the real and the mythical. If you enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing. It's free and you can unsubscribe later. In the shadowy world of Japanese folklore, the Gashadokuro looms as an awe-inspiring and terrifying figure, renowned for its colossal size. At a minimum, the Gashadokuro is said to stand over 10 meters tall, making it roughly 15 times the height of an average human. However, this is just the baseline of its gargantuan stature. According to some interpretations, the Gashadokuro has a grotesque and ever-expanding potential for growth, incorporating the bones of its victims into its skeletal structure. This terrifying prospect means that, theoretically, the creature could grow endlessly if it continues to consume humans, transforming into an unfathomably massive titan. The sheer scale of the Gashadokuro is a testament to the tragic origins of its creation. These enormous skeletons are born from the accumulated bones of those who perished from starvation or on battlefields, their deaths often marked by intense suffering and unfulfilled spirits. The bones coalesce into a single monstrous form, towering over trees and buildings, a stark reminder of human despair and neglect. Its size is not only an indication of its physical dominance, but also a manifestation of the collective anguish and rage of the forgotten dead, bound together in their fury. The mythological Gashadokuro is not just an imposing figure, but also an indestructibility and invisible menace, capable of stalking its prey without being seen. If you are unlucky enough to encounter one, a distinct ringing in your ears is said to be your only warning. Once it captures a victim, it adds their bones to its own skeletal frame, perpetually increasing its size and strength. However, the Gashadokuro is not ultimately indestructible. It can be warded off by a Shinto high priest, but until then, it continues its hunt, invisible and indestructible, until its fury finally diminishes, causing it to collapse into a heap of crumbled bones. Fire giants. In Norse mythology, the fire giants, or Jotnar, were colossal beings originating from Muspelheim, the realm of fire. Their leader, Surtur, is often described as towering above the world, wielding a flaming sword that could set entire realms ablaze. While specific measurements of their height aren't provided in the myths, the fire giants are consistently depicted as vast, otherworldly beings, far exceeding humans or even the gods in size. Their immensity is a recurring theme in tales, symbolizing chaos and the primal forces of nature. The Prose Edda and Poetic Edda, foundational texts of Norse mythology, hint at the fire giants' scale through their actions and their role in Ragnarok, the end of the world. Surtur, in particular, is said to lead the charge during this apocalyptic battle, using his sword to engulf the world in flames. His presence is so massive and destructive that he is seen as a force capable of challenging the gods themselves. The wolf Fenrir, one of the most fearsome beings in Norse mythology, is depicted as a creature of immense and terrifying size. Born to the trickster god Loki and the giantess Angrboda, Fenrir was no ordinary wolf. Even as a pup, his prodigious growth alarmed the gods, particularly Odin, who foresaw the chaos Fenrir would unleash. In the Prose Edda by Snorri Sturluson, Fenrir's size is not quantified in precise measurements, but his sheer scale and strength are emphasized through his ability to snap divine chains and pose a threat to all of Asgard. His jaw was said to stretch so wide that it could touch both the heavens and the earth, illustrating his colossal dimensions. The gods' fear of Fenrir's growth led them to bind him with increasingly stronger fetters, culminating in the magical ribbon Gleipnir, crafted by dwarves from impossibilities, such as the sound of a cat's footfall and the roots of a mountain. Gleipnir was the only material capable of holding him. Even bound, Fenrir's immense size remained awe-inspiring. He grew so large that the gods stationed him on the remote island of Lyngvi, where his presence loomed over the landscape. His bindings held for centuries, yet his power was palpable, as he bided his time for Ragnarok, when he would break free. At Ragnarok, Fenrir's size became even more monumental. Prophecies describe him as large enough to swallow Odin whole in battle. His mere movements shook the earth, and his upper jaw was said to scrape the sky while his lower jaw dragged against the ground. This imagery underscores not only Fenrir's physical enormity, but also his role as a force of cosmic destruction. Though Norse mythology does not provide exact dimensions for Fenrir, the tales leave no doubt about his extraordinary and terrifying magnitude, making him one of the most unforgettable figures in the mythological canon. In the vast and intricate tapestry of Hindu mythology, Vritra looms as a colossal figure of dread and defiance. Described as a serpentine demon or dragon, his immense size was unparalleled, stretching across the heavens and the earth. Ancient texts depict Vritra as so vast that his coiled body encircled mountains, and his sheer presence cast shadows over entire landscapes. His form was said to block rivers and dam the rains, symbolizing his role as the embodiment of drought and chaos. Vritra's size was not merely physical. It also carried the weight of cosmic disruption, a being capable of halting the natural cycles of life itself. Vritra's immense bulk was central to his mythological identity. His body was described as impregnable, with scales as strong as steel and a size that dwarfed even the tallest peaks. In his battle with Indra, the king of the Devas, Vritra's sheer magnitude made him a formidable foe. The Rig Veda, one of the oldest Vedic texts, describes him as spanning the skies, his body curling like an endless river. The thunderous clash between Indra and Vritra reverberated through the cosmos, a testament to the immense power contained within Vritra's gargantuan frame. His ability to hold back the life-giving waters was not only symbolic but also an assertion of his overwhelming physical dominance. Despite his overwhelming size and strength, Vritra met his end in a battle of divine ingenuity. Indra, armed with the thunderbolt Vajra, crafted from the bones of the sage Duthichi, confronted Vritra in a climactic showdown. The myth recounts how Indra, guided by divine wisdom, struck at Vritra's vulnerable points, ultimately shattering his colossal form. The defeat of Vritra not only released the pent-up waters, bringing life back to the world, but also underscored the triumph of order over chaos. Through this tale, Vritra's immense size became a metaphor for the challenges that appear insurmountable, but can be overcome through courage and strategy. In the ancient myths of Japan, the monstrous Yamata no Orochi is depicted as an awe-inspiring serpent whose size and power are beyond comprehension. The creature's body is so immense that it stretches across 8 valleys and expands so vast that it seems to eclipse the very landscape itself. With a form so colossal, it is said that moss and towering Japanese cedar trees have taken root upon its vast, winding body. Each of the serpent's 8 heads is crowned with fiery red eyes, and its scales gleam with a sinister hue, glowing with an ominous, otherworldly radiance. The sheer scale of the creature is enough to terrify even the bravest of souls. Yamata no Orochi's power is matched only by its size. The serpent is not just a physical marvel, but a force of nature capable of bringing destruction. Its 8 heads and 8 tails give it control over vast swathes of the earth, and its venom is said to be as deadly as its roar is loud. The creature's insatiable hunger for destruction led it to prey upon villages, and its terror reached such proportions that it became a force feared by gods and mortals alike. The tale of its defeat by the hero Susanoo shows just how formidable it truly was, as the serpent's many heads and tails made it nearly invincible, able to strike from all angles with terrifying speed and precision. What adds to the myth's intrigue is the fact that despite Yamata no Orochi's frightening nature and unstoppable might, it was ultimately bested by the hero Susanoo, who, with cunning and strategy, exploited the serpent's one weakness, its drunken stupor. After luring the beast into a state of intoxication, Susanoo severed each of its heads and tails, proving that even the most mighty of creatures can be defeated through wit and resourcefulness. The size and sheer power of Yamata no Orochi, however, still resonate as one of the most iconic elements of Japanese mythology, representing the terrifying force of nature and the heroes who rise against it. In Greek mythology, the Titans were primordial deities of immense size and power, towering above gods and mortals alike. Their very name, Titan, derives from the Greek word titanos, meaning straining or stretching, symbolizing their extraordinary might and stature. While ancient myths do not provide precise measurements of their height, the Titans were often described as colossal beings whose size matched their dominion over the cosmos. These children of Gaia, Earth, and Uranus, Sky, embodied the vastness of the natural world, with some sources likening their forms to mountains or the vast expanses of the heavens they ruled. One of the most vivid depictions of the Titan scale comes from the Titanomachy, the epic war between the Titans and the Olympian gods. During this conflict, the sheer enormity of the Titans played a central role, with figures like Hyperion, the Titan of the Sun, imagined as striding across the sky. Atlas, tasked with holding up the heavens as punishment for his role in the war, is another example. His enduring image as a figure supporting the celestial dome illustrates the unimaginable size and strength attributed to these beings. In Hesiod's Theogony, the Titans' battles are depicted as cataclysmic, shaking the earth and heavens, a testament to their immense size and power. Interestingly, their titanic proportions were not just a physical trait, but also symbolic of their cosmic roles. For instance, Oceanus, the Titan of the sea, was said to encircle the earth, embodying the boundless waters. The Titan's colossal size underscored their primal and elemental nature, representing forces of creation and destruction on a cosmic scale. While the myths leave their exact dimensions to the imagination, their grandeur has endured, influencing depictions of giants and primordial beings in literature and art for millennia. The Hecatoncheires, whose name translates to hundred-handed ones, were colossal figures in Greek mythology, described as immense and awe-inspiring creatures. Born to Uranus, the sky, and Gaia, the earth, these three siblings, Briareus, also called Aegean, Cetus, and Gyges, were said to possess extraordinary strength, each endowed with 50 heads and 100 arms. Their sheer size and the multiplicity of their limbs made them fearsome beings who could wield immense power, symbolizing unbridled chaos and raw force in the ancient world. While specific measurements of their height and size are not provided in surviving myths, the Hecatoncheires were often depicted as towering beings of unimaginable proportions. Their physicality was so vast that they could hurl massive boulders as effortlessly as one might toss a pebble, a feat they demonstrated during the Titanomachy, the epic war between the Olympian gods and the Titans. Zeus, seeking their help to overthrow the Titans, released them from their imprisonment in Tartarus. Once freed, the Hecatoncheires unleashed their might, throwing hundreds of rocks simultaneously with their countless arms, a testament to their gargantuan strength and immense stature. Their towering presence, with heads and arms numbering in the dozens, invoked both awe and terror, cementing their place as some of the most fascinating and formidable beings in Greek mythology. In the vast and intricate web of Egyptian mythology, Apophis, also known as Apep, was a monstrous serpent embodying chaos and the eternal adversary of the sun god Ra. Apophis's size was a subject of awe and terror, described with dramatic variation across different sources. At its most conservative, the serpent was said to stretch a staggering 16 yards, an impressive size for any creature, though modest by mythical standards. However, many depictions went further, portraying Apophis as a creature of cosmic proportions. In some accounts, he was so vast that he could encircle the world, his coiled body representing an infinite threat to the ordered cosmos Ra thought to preserve. One particularly vivid description emphasizes the enormity of his head, said to be as tall as the Great Pyramid of Giza itself. This monumental comparison places Apophis's head at an estimated 146 meters in height, underscoring his almost incomprehensible scale. Crafted from flint in some tales, his head was both a weapon and a symbol of his indestructibility. His cavernous pink mouth, equipped with fangs the size of spears, and glowing red eyes lent him an aura of dread. This portrayal made Apophis not just a physical opponent, but a terrifying force of nature that threatened to consume existence itself. Apophis's size wasn't static. He wielded the ability to expand or contract at will, a manifestation of his chaotic nature. In some myths, he was so vast that his presence was said to darken the heavens, his shadow engulfing the light of the sun. In these interpretations, Apophis wasn't merely a creature but an existential threat, an embodiment of unending chaos. The mythological scale of Apophis, combined with his destructive powers, cemented his role as Ra's eternal adversary, his battles with the sun god symbolizing the perpetual struggle between order and chaos. I'm torn on where to rank Apophis on this list because his two most popular size interpretations are wildly different. One paints him as the smallest contender, while the other portrays him as the largest by far. It's such a huge contrast. What do you think? Where do you think Apophis belongs in terms of size? Let me know in the comments below. In ancient mythology, the Leviathan was a creature of immense proportions, often depicted as an otherworldly sea monster. Though its exact size varied across different sources, many myths suggest the Leviathan could be as long as 300 miles, a staggering figure that emphasized its overwhelming and almost unimaginable size. Some traditions described it as a serpentine being, coiling and undulating through the deep sea, dwarfing any creature that dared to approach. This vast size was not just a physical trait. It was symbolic of the Leviathan's power and dominance, marking it as one of the most formidable beings in the mythological world. The creature's appearance was equally intimidating. It was often portrayed with scales as tough as armor, impenetrable to any weapon. The Leviathan's immense form was complemented by razor-sharp teeth that could tear through ships or anything in its path. Its temperament was as fierce as its size, with many mythological accounts emphasizing its anger and destructive nature. Some interpretations, like those in the Bible, even mention its ability to breathe fire or smoke, which added to its fearsome reputation. Its body, sometimes likened to a dragon or crocodile, made it a unique and terrifying presence in the waters it ruled. The Leviathan's symbolic role also highlighted its significance in the ancient world. In the Hebrew Bible, particularly in the book of Job and Isaiah, the creature was not merely a beast of terror but also a representation of chaos and the enemies of Israel. The Leviathan was seen as a force of nature, embodying untamed power. Its size and characteristics mirrored the idea of uncontrollable forces, reflecting both the literal and metaphorical battles between civilizations and nature. The sheer size of the Leviathan, whether described as a serpent or a crocodile, emphasized the creature's dominance in myth, where it stood as a symbol of overwhelming power that could never be fully defeated. The Behemoth emerges as one of the most awe-inspiring creatures described in ancient texts. First introduced in the Book of Job, this colossal beast is depicted as a manifestation of God's unmatched power in creation. While specific measurements are not provided in the text, later interpretations and apocryphal traditions have imagined Behemoth as an entity of unfathomable proportions, far beyond anything in the natural world. Its size, often emphasized in storytelling, has made it a symbol of untamed strength and divine craftsmanship. The Behemoth's physical form is described poetically in the Bible. Its tail, likened to a cedar, suggests immense strength and length, while its bones are said to be as strong as bronze and its limbs as solid as iron. In later Jewish traditions, tales recount it as towering over mountains, with a body so vast that it consumes entire landscapes. While the claim of the creature being 200 kilometers tall and 500 kilometers long is more of a modern, fictional interpretation than rooted in ancient texts, the Behemoth's immense size remains central to its mythic identity. It is envisioned as a creature so large that no force on earth could overpower it, standing as a living monument to divine strength. The Behemoth's ecological role is equally extraordinary in myth. It is said to consume vast amounts of vegetation daily, keeping the natural world in balance, but its appetite and might make it an impossible creature for humanity to tame. According to later legends, the Behemoth is destined to be part of an apocalyptic feast, where it, alongside Leviathan, will be slain and served to the righteous in the world to come. In Jewish mythology, the Ziz is a colossal bird, unrivaled in both power and size. With a wingspan so vast that it could block out the sun, the Ziz's sheer presence is awe-inspiring. Some legends say that its wings stretch so wide that they touch both the earth and the heavens, allowing it to stand on the ground with its head reaching into the skies. This immense size gives the Ziz an unmatched ability to command the weather, using its wings to shield the earth from destructive storms, creating calm where chaos could reign. The Ziz's flight is so mighty that it is believed to stir the heavens themselves, and no creature could approach without being overshadowed by its grandeur. Beyond its immense physical power, the Ziz also possesses a hauntingly beautiful gift: the ability to sing in a way that moves the divine. It is said that God delights in the Ziz's melodies, a harmony so profound that it resonates through the heavens. However, the Ziz's size and might come with their own challenges. Its care for its eggs is meticulous, yet even the slightest mishap can lead to catastrophic consequences. One legend recounts how, in a moment of clumsiness, the Ziz accidentally knocked one of its eggs from the nest, causing destruction on a massive scale as the egg fell to the earth below. The Ziz's importance is not limited to its role in the present world. It also plays a pivotal part in the Messianic age. At the end of days, it is foretold that the righteous will partake in a grand banquet, where they will feast on the flesh of the Ziz as a reward for their abstention from unclean birds. This myth is just one of the many layers of the Ziz's significance, with its appearances scattered across ancient texts. In Norse mythology, Hræsvelgr, whose name means corpse swallower, is an awe-inspiring figure of immense proportions. Depicted as a giant in the shape of an eagle, Hræsvelgr is said to dwell at the northernmost edge of the heavens or the end of the world. His size is so great that the beating of his wings causes the winds that sweep across Midgard, the realm of humanity. This connection to the wind not only underscores his vastness but also situates him as a cosmic force, emphasizing his role in the natural order of the Norse cosmos. Although Norse texts like the Poetic Edda do not provide precise measurements for Hræsvelgr's size, his portrayal as the source of the world's winds hints at a being of colossal scale. To generate winds that affect an entire realm, Hræsvelgr's wingspan would have to stretch far beyond human comprehension, likely encompassing the horizon itself. His perch at the edge of the world suggests that he towers above the landscape, dominating the view from his vantage point and serving as a stark reminder of the power of nature and the gods. In Norse mythology, Nidhogg is a colossal dragon or serpent dwelling beneath the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree. Though the exact dimensions of Nidhogg are not explicitly described in the surviving texts, his immense size is implied through his role and actions. Yggdrasil is described as a cosmic structure that spans all 9 realms, with roots and branches extending across vast metaphysical distances. Nidhogg's task is to gnaw at one of these roots, the one that stretches into Niflheim, the realm of ice and mist. For a creature to feed on the roots of a tree of such monumental scale, Nidhogg would have to be correspondingly enormous, far surpassing any terrestrial creature in size. The prose Edda, written by Snorri Sturluson, and other sources hint at Nidhogg's immense proportions indirectly. His perpetual gnawing is said to threaten the stability of Yggdrasil itself, suggesting that his jaws are powerful enough to damage even the divine tree that sustains the cosmos. Furthermore, Nidhogg is not merely confined to the root. He is described as interacting with corpses in Niflheim, devouring them, and participating in a cycle of degradation and decay. This duality of dwelling beneath Yggdrasil and consuming the dead implies a vast, serpentine form capable of encompassing multiple roles and locations simultaneously. Interestingly, Nidhogg's size is also contrasted with his cosmic adversary, the eagle that resides in Yggdrasil's uppermost branches. The two creatures are locked in an eternal exchange of insults, relayed by Ratatoskr, the mischievous squirrel. For the insults to carry significance across such immense distances, from the tree's towering canopy to its deepest roots, both Nidhogg and the eagle must be extraordinarily vast. This vastness ties Nidhogg to themes of destruction and renewal, his colossal form symbolizing the forces that erode even the most enduring structures. In Norse mythology, Jörmungandr, also known as the Midgard serpent, was a creature of immense size, a being so large that its mere existence seemed to defy the natural laws. According to the Poetic Edda and Prose Edda, it was a child of the trickster god Loki and the giantess Angerboa. From the moment of its birth, Jörmungandr grew at an alarming rate. The gods, fearing the serpent's eventual power, cast it into the great ocean that encircles Midgard, the human world. It continued to grow unchecked, eventually becoming so enormous that it could encircle the entire world and bite its own tail, a feat that gave rise to its alternate name, the World Serpent. The size of Jörmungandr in the mythology is often described metaphorically to highlight its terrifying and all-encompassing nature. While specific measurements of its height or length are not directly provided in the sources, the serpent is depicted as so vast that it could wrap around Midgard and cause massive turmoil if disturbed. The image of Jörmungandr curled around the world suggests a being whose body, when stretched out, might span an immeasurable distance, its sheer size giving it both a symbolic and literal presence in the mythic landscape. This portrayal suggests that the creature was not only large but also ever-present, a looming force of nature whose size was in direct proportion to the chaos it would bring. Jörmungandr's size also plays a key role in the prophecy of Ragnarok, the end of the world in Norse myth. It is foretold that during the final battle, the serpent will release itself from its coil around Midgard and engage in a cataclysmic battle with Thor, the thunder god. The size of the serpent is critical here, as it is said that Thor will struggle mightily against Jörmungandr, eventually striking the serpent with his hammer, Mjolnir, only to be poisoned by the serpent's venom in return. In Norse mythology, Sköll and Hati are colossal wolves with a terrifying presence, their size befitting their mythic roles. Sköll, whose name means mockery or treachery, is the wolf destined to chase the sun across the heavens, while Hati, meaning hate, pursues the moon. The prose Edda by Snorri Sturluson describes these wolves as relentless hunters, their pursuit symbolizing the passage of time. Although their exact dimensions are not explicitly detailed in the myths, their size is implied to be immense, large enough to devour the celestial bodies during Ragnarok, the end of the world. The sheer scale of Sköll and Hati can be inferred from their role in cosmic events. The sun, Sol, and moon Mani were regarded as vast entities in the Norse cosmology, illuminating the 9 realms. For Sköll to swallow the sun and Hati to consume the moon, they must be gargantuan, capable of eclipsing these celestial giants. Their ability to traverse the sky in pursuit of their prey suggests they are far larger than any earthly wolf, their forms more akin to primordial forces of nature than mere animals. An intriguing fact about Sköll and Hati is their lineage. They are said to be the offspring of the giant wolf Fenrir, himself a being of terrifying size and strength, and a mysterious giantess. This ancestry further emphasizes their immense stature, as Fenrir was so large that even the gods struggled to restrain him. The myths paint Sköll and Hati not as ordinary creatures but as embodiments of doom, their towering forms representing the inevitability of cosmic destruction. Their relentless pursuit of Sol and Mani encapsulates the Norse understanding of the world's transient nature, with their size and power serving as vivid metaphors for the forces that govern existence. Celestial Eaters of Philippine mythology. Sawa. In the myths of the Adi of Panay and Tagalog lore, Sawa is described as a serpent of unimaginable proportions. Stretching beyond the horizon, its body coils around mountains and rivers. When it swallows the sun during an eclipse, it is said that its jaws alone span the entire sky. Sawa's size is tied to its celestial role, and its scales are said to shimmer like molten gold, reflecting the light of the sun it devours. Villagers would beat drums and shout to frighten the massive serpent away, believing their collective sound could shake the heavens. Alama. The Alama is a winged serpent of the north, so vast that its shadow can engulf entire villages as it soars through the skies. Its wings, covered in metallic scales impervious to human weapons, span miles, creating gale-force winds with every beat. Stories tell of the Alama blotting out the sun, its body stretching across the firmament. Despite its fearsome size, the creature has faded into legend, only remembered through the tales of the elders who claim to have glimpsed its massive form above the clouds. Tambinokano. The Tambinokano is a colossal crab said to dwell in a cavernous hole at the bottom of the ocean, larger than any island. Its claws can churn the seas into towering waves. The tides themselves are attributed to its movements. When Tambinokano leaves its hole, the waters are pulled after it, causing low tide. Its glowing eyes are said to flash lightning, illuminating the ocean's depths. When the crab, in a fit of rage, attempts to swallow its mother, the moon, it casts its immense shadow across the sky, creating an eclipse. Laho. Laho is envisioned as a dragon-like monster capable of swallowing the moon whole. Unlike other celestial beasts, Laho's size is elusive. It is not always seen but is felt in its devastating presence. During eclipses, the ancient Tagalogs would say that the sky itself seemed to disappear into its maw. The beast's shadowy form blends with the night, making its true size immeasurable. Its name, meaning to vanish, reflects its terrifying power to consume celestial bodies and leave no trace. Eremaanga, a mythical lion of gargantuan proportions, dwarfs even the tallest mountains. It roams the heavens, and when it seeks to play with or devour the moon, its vast body obscures the sky, plunging the land into darkness. Its roar echoes across valleys, shaking the earth and heavens alike. During eclipses, the Marineos believed loud noises and the rubbing of fingernails could distract the playful yet destructive Eremaanga from swallowing the moon, reflecting its massive, overwhelming presence. Minakawa. The Minakawa is a dragon-like bird so immense that its wings can enshroud the entire world. According to Bagobo myths, this celestial bird resides beyond the sky, with a beak sharp enough to pierce stars and talons that grasp at the moon and sun. When it flies, Its shadow plunges the earth into temporary night. The Minakawa's size is a cosmic threat. If it ever succeeded in devouring the sun, the earth would be plunged into eternal darkness. Bakunawa. The Bakunawa, a serpent-like dragon, is central to many Filipino myths as the bringer of eclipses. Its immense body is said to circle the earth, with a head so large that it blocks out the moon when it rises to the heavens. The Bakunawa's movements were so immense and significant that ancient Filipinos used them as part of their geomantic calendar system. When it slithers, its massive form is believed to cause earthquakes, and its exhalations summon storms, reflecting its role as both a celestial and terrestrial force of nature. In Greek mythology, Typhon was a monstrous and terrifying being, often described as one of the most fearsome creatures to ever challenge the gods. He was said to be so immense in size that his head reached the stars, towering over everything on Earth. Typhon's body was enormous, with his upper torso resembling a giant human, but his lower half was made up of serpentine coils. His legs were often depicted as snake-like, and some myths describe him having 100 dragon heads emerging from his shoulders. The height and sheer scale of Typhon made him a figure of unparalleled terror, casting a shadow over the land that the gods themselves feared. His size was further emphasized by his role in the battle against Zeus, where he is said to have reached such towering heights that he was nearly as tall as Mount Olympus itself. In some versions of the myth, Typhon's reach could span the heavens, with his head brushing against the vault of the sky, causing the stars to tremble. His great wings, which were like those of a bat, spanned across vast distances, bringing storms and thunder with every flap. The scale of Typhon's size was not just physical but symbolic, as he represented chaos and destruction, threatening to upend the divine order of the gods. Despite his towering presence and almost godlike power, Typhon was eventually defeated by Zeus, who trapped him under Mount Etna. However, even in defeat, his monstrous form remained a constant reminder of his vastness. The volcano's eruptions were said to be caused by the writhing of Typhon beneath the earth. This eternal struggle between the gods and the forces of chaos highlighted not only the tremendous size of Typhon, but also the endless struggle for balance in the world of mythology. Before creating this video, I imagined Typhon would be the ultimate colossal figure, but his size actually presents a bit of a contradiction. Some interpretations describe him as so massive that his head reaches the stars, yet at the same time, he's said to be small enough to be confined beneath Mount Etna. This disparity in size, cosmic one moment, earthly the next, made it tricky to pinpoint his true scale. As a result, I decided to place him here, as the other colossal beings we'll be encountering next have a more consistent portrayal of their size, without such contradictions. In mythology, the concept of the world turtle appears across various cultures, symbolizing the earth or cosmos resting on the back of a giant turtle. In Hindu mythology, the world turtle is often associated with a Kupara or Kurm, the second avatar of Vishnu, who supports the world on his back during the churning of the ocean. While specific measurements of size are rarely detailed in these myths, the turtle is consistently depicted as vast enough to bear the weight of continents and oceans, underscoring its immeasurable and divine magnitude. The emphasis lies on its metaphorical infinity rather than precise physical dimensions. Interestingly, in Native American traditions, particularly among the Lenape and Iroquois, the world turtle carries the earth on its back. These myths often describe the turtle as spanning the horizon, with its shell forming the land and its body supporting the waters. While the stories do not quantify the turtle's dimensions, its depiction as the foundation of life on Earth suggests it is as large as the Earth itself. This reflects the cultural tendency to blend natural and spiritual worlds, making the world turtle a symbol of stability and interconnectedness. Each culture's depiction focuses not on literal measurements, but on conveying the turtle's vastness as a representation of the cosmos or Earth itself. In Islamic cosmography, the Kujata, also spelled Kuyutan or Kiyutha, is an awe-inspiring cosmic creature whose size defies human comprehension. Kujata is described as a colossal ox that plays a foundational role in the structure of the universe. It stands upon Bahamut, the immense fish that swims in the primeval ocean, Kujata itself supports a vast mountain made of ruby, upon which rests the angel who upholds the earth. This multi-layered cosmological hierarchy highlights the intricate design of creation in Islamic cosmology, with Kujata as a vital intermediary in the chain of cosmic supports. The sheer size of Kujata is described in staggering proportions. It is said to have 4,000 eyes, 4,000 ears, 4,000 noses, 4,000 mouths, and an equal number of limbs, emphasizing its divine and supernatural form. Each of its features is said to be separated by an unfathomable distance, further illustrating its massive scale. According to some interpretations, the space between each of Kujata's limbs spans a distance so vast that it is impossible for human imagination to grasp, cementing its place as a being far beyond earthly comprehension. An interesting aspect of Kujata's mythology is the symbolic function of its immense size within the cosmological framework. Its enormous stature is not merely a physical characteristic, but also a reflection of the vastness and complexity of the universe. Kujata's role as a bearer of creation emphasizes the interconnectedness of all things, from the infinite ocean of Bahamut below to the angel above who holds the earth. This layered depiction of Kujata underscores the grandeur of divine creation, where every element, no matter how colossal or minute, plays a precise and essential role. In Norse mythology, Ymir was a being of unimaginable size and strength, embodying the very chaos from which the world would eventually be formed. The first of the Jotnar, Ymir's vastness transcended any physical measurement, as his body was used by the gods to craft the earth. His immense size was such that the gods Odin, Vili, and Ve were able to carve out the land, sky, and seas from his giant form. His flesh became the soil, his blood the oceans, his bones the mountains, and his skull the sky, each fragment of his being shaping the very world the gods would inhabit. Ymir's size was not merely a physical trait. It was central to the cosmos's creation, embodying both the destructive and creative forces of nature. Ymir's appearance, as described in the ancient texts, matched his formidable proportions. He was said to have long, white, and gray hair that flowed like the mists of the cold primordial world. His skin was icy blue, evoking the frozen realms of Jotunheim, and his eyes were described as glowing white, a stark contrast to the darkness of the void from which he emerged. Some interpretations also suggest that Ymir may have had ram-like or bull-like horns, adding an element of animalistic power to his giant form. The sheer scale of Ymir's existence has fascinated scholars and storytellers alike, but even more remarkable is the power he wielded. Ymir was not merely a colossal being. He possessed the ability to create life. From his body sprang the first beings, the Jotnar themselves, and through his sacrifice, the gods were able to forge the ordered world. His death, a tragic yet necessary act, set the stage for the gods to reshape the cosmos. In Norse mythology, Ymir's immensity was both a literal and symbolic representation of the raw, untamed forces that preceded the birth of the world, a fitting tribute to the giants who shaped the very universe from their boundless size. In Greek mythology, the primordial gods, the first beings to emerge from chaos, were not simply towering figures, but were the very essence of existence itself. These gods, like Chaos, Gaia, the earth, Uranus, the sky, and others, were often described in a more conceptual and elemental manner than as physical beings with defined height or size. However, their size and scale can be interpreted through their powers and influence, which were vast and unfathomable. For example, Gaia, the earth herself, is not confined to any specific measurements, as she is said to stretch across the entire world. In this way, her size is infinite, encompassing the lands, seas, and skies, which gives her a colossal presence in the mythological landscape. Uranus, her consort, who was the sky, similarly had an immensity that spanned across the heavens. His body was the very firmament, ever expanding to cover the earth. In one telling, Uranus' form is not only vast but almost beyond physical comprehension. He was as expansive as the air itself, constantly shifting and stretching in size, making it difficult to measure his actual form. When he was overthrown by his son Cronos, it was an act that symbolized not just the physical but the metaphysical conflict between the earth and the sky. These gods' size is less about height in a traditional sense and more about their overwhelming and omnipresent nature, where their very being fills the cosmos. Then there is Chaos, the first of the primordial gods, whose size is similarly elusive. Chaos, from whom all other beings sprang, was described as an abyss or void, an infinite, boundless expanse. While not a physical form in the conventional sense, Chaos' size was limitless, stretching beyond any tangible measurement, a force that cannot be confined by any physical realm. This formlessness and infinite nature of the primordial deities reinforced the idea that size, in the case of the first gods, is more a matter of influence and essence than measurable physicality. The primordial gods of Greek mythology were not merely gigantic figures. They were the building blocks of reality, as vast and immeasurable as the cosmos itself. In Islamic cosmography, Bahamut is a colossal, mythical creature that is described in various texts, including the Kitab al-Bulhan and other Islamic cosmological works. According to the tradition, Bahamut is an enormous fish or sea creature that resides in the deepest part of the ocean, a space far beyond human comprehension. Its size is beyond ordinary measure, with some interpretations stating that it is so massive it cannot be fully seen. The creature is said to be so large that the earth itself is perched upon its back, its immense weight supporting all of creation. The fish's sheer scale is impossible to fully grasp, with some descriptions noting that Bahamut's body stretches for thousands of miles. This staggering size makes Bahamut one of the most imposing creatures in Islamic mythology, symbolizing the vastness and mystery of the cosmos. The scale of Bahamut's size becomes even more extraordinary when considering the sheer height it is believed to possess. Islamic texts do not offer a precise numerical measurement, but they emphasize that Bahamut's size surpasses that of mountains and even the heavens themselves. In one interpretation, the creature's size is so immense that it acts as a boundary between the earthly realm and the infinite, its scale emphasizing the incomprehensibility of the divine cosmos. It is also suggested that Bahamut's movements are so vast that it causes the very shifting of oceans and lands, creating ripples throughout the universe. Despite its awe-inspiring size, Bahamut's role in Islamic cosmology is not that of a threat, but rather of a guardian. It is said to be restrained by an angel who holds it in place, ensuring that it does not disturb the balance of creation. Bahamut's size and its place in the cosmos highlight not only its physical enormity, but also its metaphorical significance. It represents the hidden mysteries of the universe, the vast unknowns that exist beyond human perception. Its existence reflects the idea that the world is supported by forces and beings far beyond what is visible, and it serves as a reminder of the infinite scale of the divine creation. In Chinese mythology, Pangu was not just a giant but a colossal figure whose size defied imagination. According to the ancient myth, after emerging from a primordial egg, Pangu began growing at a remarkable rate of 10 feet per day, each day adding to his already vast form. Over the course of 18,000 years, Pangu's growth was unstoppable, reaching an awe-inspiring height of 30,000 miles tall. He became so immense that his body stretched to unimaginable proportions, eventually becoming a living pillar separating the sky from the earth, the very foundation of the world itself. As Pangu continued to grow, he took on the monumental task of keeping the newly formed sky and earth apart. His immense height allowed him to act as a bridge between the two realms, ensuring they remained distinct and separate. At the completion of his task, Pangu's form became a powerful symbol of creation, with his body, towering and unyielding, representing the structure of the universe. His presence was said to be a visible reminder of the delicate balance between heaven and earth that he had established. Upon Pangu's death, his gigantic form transformed into the essential elements of the world. His skull became the heavens, while his massive limbs gave birth to the 5 great mountains of China. His breath became the wind and clouds, his left eye became the sun, and his right eye became the moon. His body gave rise to rivers, fertile land, and minerals, with his teeth and bones becoming the rocks and minerals of the earth. In death, Pangu's enormous size and energy were not lost but woven into the very fabric of the world, continuing his legacy in every part of nature. In Philippine mythology, the Samal Naga is an enormous and awe-inspiring dragon tied to both celestial and mortal realms. According to legend, this mythical creature is so vast that it is said to be trapped in the Milky Way, its immense body stretched across the heavens. The sheer scale of the Samal Naga surpasses any earthly imagination, making it a figure of both reverence and dread. Its vastness serves as a cosmic reminder of divine power, with its eventual release prophesied to bring about a reckoning. The Samal Naga's size is not merely physical but symbolic. Its great length, spanning the galaxy, emphasizes its role as an otherworldly guardian and judge. Its celestial imprisonment is a divine safeguard, ensuring that it does not descend prematurely to fulfill its apocalyptic purpose. When freed, the Samal Naga is said to devour all those who lack faith in their deities, a terrifying act that underscores its role as an enforcer of divine will. The mythology positions the dragon as a cosmic force of accountability, measuring the spiritual fidelity of humanity against its looming shadow. What makes the Samal Naga even more fascinating is its association with celestial phenomena. The Milky Way itself is interpreted as its massive, coiled body, suggesting that the heavens are not merely a distant expanse, but a realm inhabited by active, divine forces. This connection to the stars and constellations adds layers of depth to its mythology, portraying it as both a literal and figurative bridge between the mortal world and the divine cosmos. In the ancient Babylonian creation epic, Enuma Elish, Tiamat is not just a mere creature. She is a formidable and colossal being, an embodiment of primordial chaos. The myth paints a vivid picture of her size and power, describing her as a vast, monstrous entity with the ability to shape and control the waters of the cosmos. Her body, which is often depicted as a dragon-like serpent or a sea monster, spans the expanse of the universe. While exact measurements of her height are never given in the text, her immense size is implied through the sheer scale of her confrontation with the gods. She is described as towering over the other deities, with the power to create storms and tidal waves, showing her as a force that dwarfs anything in her path. Tiamat's body is said to be so large and imposing that it takes the efforts of the great warrior god Marduk to defeat her. In the Enuma Elish, Marduk is described as having to strike her with great force, splitting her massive body in two. This momentous act symbolizes the separation of the heavens and the earth. The top half of her body becomes the sky, while the lower half forms the earth. The image of her body being split and repurposed to form the world reflects her enormous size, as it suggests that the universe itself was built from the remains of her vast form. The sky and earth were literally constructed from her immense, chaotic body, further emphasizing the scale of her size. Tiamat's vastness and her place in the mythology are key to understanding her significance in the Babylonian cosmology. Her role is not only one of destruction, but also creation. As the goddess of the saltwater abyss, her immense size mirrors the boundless depths of the ocean, a symbol of both destruction and fertility. Her defeat, while marking the victory of order over chaos, also signifies the transformation of her unimaginable form into the world itself. In this way, Tiamat's colossal size is immortalized not just in her mythological death, but in the very structure of the universe she helped create. Phallic, in Arabian mythology, is an unfathomably large serpent that resides in the lowest depths of creation, within the seventh realm of hell. Its sheer size and power are beyond mortal comprehension, as it is said that Phallic could swallow all of existence in an instant. This immense creature lies beneath Bahamut, the cosmic fish that supports the world and, in some interpretation, the universe, forming a foundational part of the mythological structure of the cosmos. Despite its terrifying capacity for destruction, Phallic's existence is marked by its submission to the will of God, which restrains it from unleashing chaos upon creation. The serpent's size is one of its most defining and awe-inspiring characteristics. It is described as so vast that it defies measurement, embodying a scale of existence that surpasses human understanding. Phallic's positioning in the mythological hierarchy emphasizes its role as a guardian of the ultimate boundaries of creation. Below Bahamut and the layers of the earthly and celestial realms, Phallic's enormity serves as a reminder of the infinite vastness and complexity of the universe, as conceived in Arabian cosmology. While phallic is often depicted as a destructive force held in check, it is also a symbol of divine power and control. Its fear of God is not a weakness but an acknowledgement of the supreme authority that governs all beings, even those of unimaginable strength and size. This dynamic reinforces the theological themes of submission and order prevalent in the myth. Phallic's role within this framework is not just to embody potential destruction, but also to serve as a testament to the balance and restraint imposed by divine will. For deeper insights into these mythical races, click on the video to your left. And for more captivating mythology content, check out the video to your right. If you found this video enjoyable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads.